How's it going, everyone? My name is Ricky. I'm a third-year med student at Rowan University School of Osteopathic Medicine in Stratford, New Jersey. It's about 20 minutes from Philly, since no one knows where Stratford is. But yeah, good school. And so my Picmonic experience first started back in the fall of my first year. We got the email about, oh, free food, come to a Picmonic meeting. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And the guy who came showed us a picture of Actinomyces israeli, and I didn't even know what that bacteria was, but after 2 tries of looking at the picture with the story, I got it immediately. I could close my eyes and I could see the image, and I could just list it off. Like, I didn't even know that my mind was capable of doing these kinds of things, and it really is. It's crazy. Like, I've from my Picmonic experience, I've learned that the only real way to memorize, just straight up memorize, is you have to dig deep, very deep into the back of your head and look at these pictures, not just straight up recall, because there's way too much to memorize in med school and you're going to need to organize it somehow in your brain. So, my first year, I didn't get to use Picmonic too much. I didn't exactly know about it until later than most people. So that's why now, if you're watching this video, get it as soon as possible. Start it your first week of first year. Make your playlists, and you'll be in great shape. The thing about Picmonic is, a lot of people think there's too many pictures. There's no way I'm going to memorize all this. Well, I'll tell you a few things. First off, you're not going to get miracles in the very first day. Picmonic is something that you study gradually. Look at it, I don't know, on your free time. They've got the app. Wherever you are, if you know you're not in the mood to study, just stare at some pictures. The thing about Picmonic is you don't always have to be able to list all 10, 12 things that are on a page. If you can, when you get to an exam, pretty much it's a multiple choice test. If you can recognize those buzzwords, there's a part of your brain that can recall that without you even realizing it. And that's what happened to me on my boards experience. So I would see a buzzword, and immediately the picture would pop up in my head. I didn't even know how I was recalling this. It felt like I was cheating on the exam, which of course I wasn't. But yeah, so the other thing about Picmonic is it's got more than micro. It's got all the other subjects. So biochem, it was great for the lysosomal storage diseases. Hemonc, great for the cancers. Pharm, absolutely phenomenal, because that's just straight up memorization. How else are you going to memorize it other than writing down lists? So just try it out, make your playlists, and give it a shot. There's that other program out there called Sketchy Micro, which I found out later. I tried it out, but honestly I didn't have the attention span for it. A program like that, where it has 8-minute stories, that takes a lot of time. If you have that amount of time, that's awesome. But as it gets closer to boards, I think Picmonic is great because the stories are a minute or 2, even less, and you don't even need to listen to the stories. Once you listen to them once, you can just play them back. You could be sitting in class, just looking at the pictures, and that's good enough. So yeah, micro is what I use Picmonic for primarily, and I really started doing Picmonic the summer between my first and second year. I mainly focus on just knowing the gram positives and negatives, and this is coming from somebody who basically forgot all of micro after first year. I didn't know how I was going to tackle that subject, so I tried staring at first aid by itself. Wasn't working. The first aid, the way I think of first aid, it's kind of like a puzzle, and it's all encoded. And Picmonic is something that will help you decode all the clutter that is first aid. So they've got charts, and that's great. It's organized, but your mind's not capable of just straight up memorizing that unless you put a lot of time and write it all down. But Picmonic, you have your first aid book out with Picmonic, you'll realize everything that's in that cartoon is right in first aid. And since I started Picmonic, they've built more and more, and pretty soon they're going to have first aid completely down. So the plan I recommend, I would, if you're starting it first year, that's awesome. You're already a step way ahead of me. But if you're like me and you didn't discover it until after your first year, so right before second year, give it a shot in your summer. I mean, I'm sure you're all out there enjoying summer. For those of you who are starting right now, go gradually with it. Don't kill yourself. But so I looked at gram positives, gram negatives first, and then I would make lists, and that was just to help organize in my mind. So by the time I took boards, I had looked at all these different images, maybe like 10 to 20 times. I mean, by the time you've looked at something even after like 4 or 5 times, that you don't even need to write it down. You can just like close your eyes and you start to see it. But really the thing about Picmonic is once you start doing questions like UWorld, and if you're like me and go to a DO school, either ComBank or ComQuest, and if you decide to use Kaplan, you see the buzzword and the picture just comes in your head. So you don't need to literally pull the image up from scratch. If you can remember where that buzzword was, if you see, I don't know, one particular character like the fever beaver in your head, that's already a huge advantage right there. So Picmonic is just great for randomization. It's really like they have the research study that shows 300% increase in memory retention. I really do believe it. So, I mean, I've never even made a YouTube video in my life, and I'm doing it just so I can spread the word that this program really does work. And it was one of the highest categories I got on my COMLEX. So micro, I did not think I would be able to survive, but Picmonic single-handedly saved me. So I started using gram positives, gram negatives in the summer, and then second semester of second year, I started doing the viruses, fungi, parasites, and hopefully, I don't know how your second year curriculum is, but they started repeating a lot of those topics. So once I started hitting board studying hard, I would throw in Picmonic with it, and it was a fantastic supplement. It was exactly what I needed. And whether you choose to do Kaplan, DIT, you name it, just add on to it. Like, you don't have to just go 50 straight Picmonics without taking a break. You could even do one, start studying, go back to another, keep studying, figure out a plan that works for you. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, you heard it right here from a guy who could have tried harder first year, maybe even second year, but Picmonic really does work. I mean, I'm a third year and I'm still going to renew it. That's how much I love it. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and good luck.